Hello lovelies, welcome to the Creative Veggie Workshop series, and this week is the amazing kale. Now kale is like a leafy green on steroids. Not only is it a leafy green, which means it's packed full of vitamins and minerals, unlike spinach which has oxalate, which means that we need to eat both the raw and the cooked of spinach. Because when we cook spinach, that releases the oxalate, which binds onto some of the minerals like calcium and iron. So this doesn't have any oxalate. So all of those minerals like calcium, and it's packed full of calcium, are available to you whether this is cooked or not. Now the other thing about kale is that it's a cruciferous vegetable. Now cruciferous vegetables have amazing cancer fighting properties. They are full of things like sulforaphane and indole 3-carbinol, which are big fancy words for telling us that they help fight cancer, help break it down, help stop the growth and help get rid of it out of our body. So we want to be putting kale on the weekly menu. Now I know that I can hear the groans already because it's not a particularly delicious vegetable, let's face it. It can be a little bit hard and it's a little bit bitter, but I have got 4 amazing ways that you can cook kale so that the family will actually like it, or I'll show you ways that you can hide it so the family won't even know that it's there. Now the first thing I want to do is kale chips. Now really there's no great secret for kale chips. Just rip it off the stems, good old peeling it like this, breaking it up into sort of chip-like pieces, and then the trick is just to you don't really need much oil at all, whether it's olive oil or coconut oil, a little bit in, and then just rub it into each of the leaves. Now this is a great job. I do a kids veggie workshop and I get all the kids to do this. They love it, getting their hands in, so your kids can do that if you've got kids or grandkids. Now the secret is to make sure that the leaves are a single layer, so you don't want it all piled up on top of each other. You want them in a single layer, and obviously if I was doing it for the family I'd do that whole lot, but you want a single layer, and then you want to make it taste good. So we're going to sprinkle a little bit of herb in there, which is the salt that I use, and nutritional yeast. So this is like a flaky Parmesan cheese, but no dairy, full of vitamins and minerals, especially the B's, and quite a few minerals. And sprinkle a little bit of that on, and then pop it into an oven. Once again, it depends on your oven, but whatever you put it on, probably a moderate oven, 180, 190, you just have to watch it because it cooks really, really fast, around about 8 to 10 minutes. And you don't want to miss the point because you go over and you really do miss that bliss point. So I just happen to, here's the ones I prepared earlier. And you can really see that these bits over here have started to go brown, and they're probably just a little bit on the cooked side. They'll still be delicious, but you don't want to go any more than that. And you can see that once they're cooked, they really are crisp. You could almost hear them crackling. And they just literally dissolve in your mouth. They're like just a gorgeous, salty, cheesy way to eat kale. So I really would encourage you to give that a go at least once, and you might be surprised at what the family like. Now, if you make them and you've made too much, then what you could literally do is then just crunch them up and pop all that on top of the salad. Sprinkle all that on top of the salad or on top of some roast vegetables, and it will just give it some more nutrients and a lovely salty, cheesy flavour. It will not go to waste. Now, the second thing that I love to do with kale is to make kale rice. So just the same way that we make broccoli rice and cauliflower rice, let's make kale rice. So once again, just strip it off of the stalks, pop it in your food processor, and turn her on. would need a little bit longer with this because this isn't a very powerful food processor, in that it would have taken like 1 second. But this has made kale rice, little bits of kale rice. Now, there's 2 things that you can do with this. One is straight away put that in a little Ziploc bag or however you freeze vegetables, and pop it in the freezer, and the next time you make a casserole, just pop that whole bag, undo it and pop that bag into your casserole, and there'll be some little green flecks in there that no one will even notice that they're in there. The other thing that you can do is get a tray and do exactly the same way that you did the kale chips. Put it on a tray, put whatever flavour you like. Put some salt, you could put some curry powder, you can put nutritional yeast on it again, and you basically made some, almost like some little kale crudités that you can then sprinkle on anything from soup to salads to roast veggies, anything you like, and that would keep in the fridge for up to, I think I've had it in the fridge for up to about 4 or 5 days. So it just makes it tasty and flavoursome, and you're not munching your way through some, you know, tough leaves. Now, if you were going to put this into a salad, quite often I will put this into a salad, but I would either do this, make it into kale rice, or slice it up really, really finely. The finer the better, and then, because it's kind of like cabbage. Cabbage is another one of the cruciferous vegetables. You want it to be fine so you're not munching your way through these big chunks of vegetables. All right, that is number 2. Now the next thing I'm going to show you how to make is something that I think I really might have invented myself, and I've called it kale and apple mishmash. Now I'll just get rid of this kale. And this is an absolutely delicious way to make a sweet version of kale. So you start with putting a little bit of water in the bottom of your saucepan, probably a couple of tablespoons or a quarter of a cup, and then get your apple and cut it up. And I'm going to use this, my new toy, and because it's just so exciting, get to core and cut it all at the same time. Just have to have muscles. And then this lovely little thing at the back comes around and it all pops out. You should have seen me when I discovered that. All right, so what we're doing is we're going to put about, if you're doing the whole bunch of kale, depending on the size of your bunch of kale, I would usually put about 4 apples to a bunch of kale. If it's the first time you're doing it, maybe put about 6 apples. You might like it to be a little bit sweeter. But put all of your apples at the bottom of the saucepan with a little bit of water, and then put your kale, just literally break the kale off, pop it on top, and sprinkle some cinnamon, and always a little bit of herb in there. And then you're going to put the lid on, pop it on the stove, and just cook that until the apple is cooked and the kale is all wilted down. So here's some that I've cooked earlier, and then we're just going to put all of that kale and apple that's cooked down so beautifully, smells amazing with all of that cinnamon. And then just going to puree that in here. And as usual, my blender will take a little bit longer. But then what you end up with is some green mashed apple, cooked baked apple. It smells amazing, but you can hardly even taste the kale. And that is just a fabulous thing that I would then use for breakfast. and add maybe a granola or put on top of my oats that I might have soaked overnight with some sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds. Or you could even have some of that with a little bit of coconut yogurt as a dessert, but it's just another delicious way to get kale into you. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you how to do is a kale pesto. So this is a really exciting way to eat kale because we are going to be eating so much green in this pesto. We're going to be putting kale in there, lots of basil and lots of parsley. So this is an amazingly rich, nutrient-dense dip. Now, we're going to start with putting some garlic in the bottom. Now, I am going to use this today, but you can use a food processor, you don't need a thermi. And I'm going to OD on the garlic because I was just reminded yesterday when I was doing some research about how amazing garlic is, and it's off the charts when it comes to a cancer fighting nutrient. So go overboard on the garlic if you possibly can. So we want some garlic. We're going to be putting in some lemon juice. We've got some pumpkin seeds. And we're going to have a big handful of basil. That one's the basil. I like to go overboard, so I would definitely put in a whole bunch of parsley. Parsley is just amazing, full of iron. And then, I can't remember what the recipe says, I think it's a couple of cups of. And once again, once that is all cooked down, or not cooked down, we are just blending that, so it's all going to be raw, you will not even taste the kale in this. And we want some herbamare as usual. And then we're going to put actually about 1/4 cup of the nutritional yeast in here, and that's just going to give it the little bit of a cheesy flavour that you do have in a pesto. And then, as per when I make dips, if you're finding that you need a little bit of fluid in this, I don't use oil. When I'm making hummus or pesto, I don't use oil to get the consistency that I want. I just use a little bit of water. So this has got the healthy fats in it because that's got the whole pumpkin seeds. So that's going to help give it the healthy fat. So really just going to pop the lid on that and blend all that down, scraping the sides, adding a bit of water until you get the desired consistency. So that is 4 ways to make some amazingly tasty recipes with kale that hopefully sort of get people over that hurdle of not liking kale. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you next week for the very last vegetable in this series, which is zucchini. See you next week.